The Walking Dead. Episode title, The Big Scary You. Yes, The Big Scary You. Good episode. I really enjoyed this episode. We see what they kind of do is they kind of mix in scenes of, we have Gabriel in the trailer with Negan, and we see they're going back and forth. And I have to say, you know how Walking Dead will do the thing where they kind of do a scene now at the beginning before you see the opening credits? Gabriel has this really creepy line that's like, oh, it's done, it's delivered so well. You know, they're talking back and forth, and Negan says something, I forget what it was, but it was really cool too. But then Gabriel has this comeback that is just, it made me forget what Negan even said. It was that good. Like, I don't know what they're doing with Gabriel, but I like it so far. Because I used to could not stand him. He used to be my least favorite character on the show. Now he's grown on me quite a bit. His retort to Negan is, well, maybe that's why I'm here. I'm here to take your confession. Because he's basically implying that, you know, these walkers are going to get in here eventually and kill both of us, so maybe you should confess before you die. It's just, and he delivers it in such a way that's just like, well, is it the walkers he has to worry about, or you? Like, he sounds insane when he says it. It's done really well. And we have those scenes between them kind of talking back and forth, and scenes leading up to the beginning of the season where Rick and everyone attack the sanctuary. We see, you know, Negan kind of having a board meeting with Gregory and everyone else, you know, all of his lieutenants there in the room, like Eugene and Dwight and Anthony. And Gregory's, you know, explaining why, you know, he's useful to Negan and how he can, like, stop this rebellion before it even starts. And he pretty much promises him the world, and that's why you saw in the season premiere why Anthony, like, gets up in his face for failing. So you have a lot of those scenes intermixed with Gabriel and Negan, and one weak point of this episode, I would have to say, is they try to humanize Negan a little bit. And it's just not, I'm not buying it. You know, he said that because I want to say that, you know, I have to admit I was either tired or not quite paying attention at this point when he explained this, but he said that at one point, I think his wife got bitten, and the whole time she was sick, he was, like, cheating on her. So not really winning me any points by having him do that. And then you have, I think there's one point where Gabriel, like, tried to, like, pull a gun on him, but it didn't work out. Slowly the walkers are trying to get in, and things get very, they eventually, or Negan eventually pulls in a walker, and, like, they do the whole guts on them to, like, you know, hide their scent. This time it doesn't work quite so well, though, because I want to say that Gabriel falls over like another walker or a dead body, and when he picks himself up, like, one's looking right at him and realizes, like, oh, you're not a walker because you stood up, or you stood up too fast. So the jig is up, and then they have to get in to Sanctuary, so it's like Gabriel and Negan against all these walkers. You're kind of seeing Negan's inner circle start to squabble and fight over who's going to be in charge because they assume Negan is dead. And Negan basically comes back and, you know, puts everyone together because you have like the workers in the sanctuary that are getting tired of, like, they're running out of, like, the water's not working, there's no power. And Negan comes back and they just all kind of like kneel. Everyone kneels to him and they're fine. Everyone's okay with the crappy situation because their leader's back. And you do see like how beholden they are to him. You also see some of Daryl and Rick, and they are arguing over, I think, going back to the sanctuary. And like Daryl wants to go back to the sanctuary and finish it, and like Rick wants to stick to the plan and get the guns back to Alexandria, I think. And in their arguing, they start fighting, like dirty fighting, like really bad fighting, like the kind of fights that Shane and Rick used to get into, where it looks like they're almost trying to kill each other. And in this whole thing, they blow up the guns. The guns were in the truck, and they managed to blow up the truck. It was almost like a Looney Tunes moment. It was just ridiculous what happened. So you have that rift between Rick and Daryl. And I want to say the other portion of the episode is kind of devoted to Jesus kind of trying to convince Maggie to keep the saviors that he's taken prisoners alive. And Gregory is now, of course, back at the hilltop, and he's trying to convince Maggie to, not keep them alive. Basically build gallows and hang them and save some bullets. And I believe, I'm trying to think because I'm thinking of 2 episodes right now. I believe she does get they build them some, almost like a pen to stay in. It's kind of like a little outside prison thing with like chicken wire and stuff that they put together. So she's going to keep them as prisoner. That might be from the next week's episode, but I'll get into those details later. Honestly, I liked the episode. I think the whole trying to humanize Negan at this point, it doesn't really work. He kept saying in this episode that people were a resource. And that's why he didn't like Rick. It's because he felt like Rick is just like trying to get people killed by being so reckless. But I kind of feel like there's a double meaning there. I feel like he's saying people are a resource, and the other half of that thought is they're there to be used like any other resource. That's how I feel like Negan thinks about people. And the reason why he kills one person is because, and he did say, you kill the right people. You don't kill everyone. If you kill the right people, the rest of them will fall in line. And he also mentioned that, this is really good insight. He mentioned that when he got into the sanctuary, the guy who was running it was doing a horrible job, and like there was so much chaos, and there wasn't any order to it. And when he came, he brought order. During the Talking Dead, someone thought that maybe Anthony was the one who used to be in charge, the guy who's his right-hand man now. That's a good theory, I think. But yeah, I think this was episode 5, and we are now kind of at the slowdown point of the raid. The raid's over, and I'm thankful we finally got an episode with Negan in it, because I think there was like 3 episodes where there was no Negan. And it's going a little slow. It's definitely slowing down now, but I think you kind of have to after all the action that's been going on. And so far, it's been a pretty good season. Just if it could speed up a little bit, just a tad, then it'd be perfect.